Welcome to our podcast, Tell Us a Story, a laid-back place where people come to share their gift of gab and tell us their most interesting true life stories while we talk about different topics from all over the world. Well, boys and girls, get ready because today we have a treat for you. We have some flavor in the house. We have Chef Xavier Laurentino of Barcelona Tapas, his very own restaurant, and we're going to ask him to tell us a little bit about it and what makes it tick and all the interesting things that maybe no one knows about. Who knows? All right, welcome to the show, Chef. How was that intro? That was pretty good, right? We worked on that for a while.
Yeah, you're getting good at this.
I know I am. It's crazy. Right. So, Frenchie, I'm going to let you go ahead and take the stick and tell everybody a little bit about Chef here.
Well, first of all, welcome, Chef. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much. Truly happy to be here.
So I'm going to give you a little introduction on you. If at any time you feel like this is totally wrong, just go, no.
All right.
That's your option.
No. So Chef Xavier is the oh-so-charismatic chef and owner at Barcelona Tapas in New Orleans. He's charming and witty. I concur. And will take the time to say hello to all of his customers.
That's
and
true.
if you're lucky enough, he may even take the time to chit-chat for a moment. His food is filled with wonderful flavors that will send you straight to the mountains of Navarra.
Yes.
Even if
nice.
for a brief moment. He makes the best creme brulee, I remember, I've ever had. He has so many stories to tell that we cannot wait to dive in. Welcome again.
Thank you very much. I truly appreciate you guys thinking of me.
Oh, yes.
We had to.
We've been looking forward to this episode because we love food.
Well, he already knows I'm a cook all the time.
Yes. Let's get it going.
Okay, Chef. So how long have you been cooking and where have you learned the art of cooking?
Two different things. I've been cooking since I was like 3 years old. The thing is, my dad was an industrialist, had a factory. Back home at the time in the 70s, under Franco's regime.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You usually didn't work on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
So my father worked Monday through Friday in his factory. He closed the factory for the weekend, and then he came home. And his hobby, personal way of communicating with his children, he was never a guy that would sit down with you and tell you, young man, when you grow, none like that. Whatever knowledge he wanted to pass on to you, he did it in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So Saturday and Sunday were his days. He would get in the kitchen, get everybody out, and get the children in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So we cooked with him through the weekend.
Yeah.
From the time we were like munchkin. And so all my siblings cook, all of them. Everybody, I'm the only one who ended up doing it professionally, and it was absolutely by chance. It was never a choice. It was never...
It just happened.
It just happened. That's exactly right.
I can totally relate with you because I learned like that with my grandmother. Literally the kitchen being the heart of the home.
Same.
Yeah, you too?
Yeah, and we were, I'm sure, all different types of cuisine between the three of us, of course. But yeah, same thing. I can remember great memories of my grandmother. One of her famous dishes, her spaghetti, was just amazing.
I think that it's across different cultures that maybe on Sunday, the man of the house cooks. Cooks like the jambalaya or the...
Oh, you're right.
Or
Yeah.
the paella back home, or, in France, might cook something that's a bit more involved than what you cook through the week just for food.
You have more time,
And it's always the men. The men get in there and they want to show off. It's what I consider to be a weekend warrior in the kitchen, right? And that's exactly what my dad did. But he took it very seriously.
Right.
He would come out with a recipe book and we would decide what we're going to be cooked. And cooking didn't start in the kitchen. We decided to do this particular dish, well, he would tell us to begin with. This dish calls for 5 peppers for 4 people. But
Okay.
we are 9 people, so how many peppers?
Oh, I see what you're doing. Yeah.
By the time we went to school at 5,
You knew math.
we when the teacher said we're gonna learn how to add and subtract, we were like, we're dividing. You know what I mean? For real. And
Yeah.
That's
So he taught us everything, and then we would go to the market and pick up the stuff.
Right.
And even today, I'm 64, and today I can, when I receive merchandise at the restaurant and I looked it up, I can hear the voice of my dad telling me, see that pepper looks good, right? But when you press it, see those wrinkles? This pepper's been there for a week. It's got another 3 days shelf life. You don't want this pepper.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
And up until today, when
That's
I go
what
to
you do.
buy, I check my stuff and I'm like, ooh, no. It's,
Yeah.
This one's
So,
old. No, thank you.
It doesn't look like it, but it is. And so that's how I learned how to cook. And then I cooked for myself throughout my entire life.
I know you make me salivate when you put your steaks. Like sometimes he makes a steak for himself.
Yeah.
Exactly how you love it.
Right.
And then some potatoes, something like you said, very simple but straightforward.
Yeah.
And he posts it. This is not right.
Well,
You can practically taste it just looking at the picture.
Yes.
You still see it sizzling because he doesn't put just a picture, he puts a video.
Of course.
'Cause
Of
why not?
course. Of course.
Yeah. So, well, while we're talking about cooking, I'm going to
Yeah.
ask this right now.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So, for those who don't know what tapas are, can you explain briefly?
okay. Tapas, in the short version of that, is small plates.
Okay.
It's just small plates of stuff. But when you look at the culture of tapas, I've heard several different origins.
Okay.
People say that a king, this, and all of them they are
Probably a bunch of drunks at the restaurant,
Yeah, right. Well, it's
Probably,
this,
yeah.
but in the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
But there's one particular version of the story of how tapas developed and how tapas came to be. Is that in the Middle Ages, you travel from city to city, either walking or on horseback or on
Right.
on a mule, right?
Yep.
And on the roads, you had inns.
Okay, yeah.
Little places where they fed you, and if you needed to rest the night, they had not beds, but they had straw, and you just sleep there, and they feed you and they feed your horse too, on the same spot, which created a ton of flies. And so
Oh my God.
Spaniards, being the way they are, they didn't want their flies going into their wine. At the time, it was 2 drinks that you would get, either wine or beer.
Okay, yeah.
We're talking Middle Ages.
Yeah.
So in order to avoid the flies from going into the drink, they put a cover on top, and a cover in Spanish is called tapa.
Oh my God.
A tapa.
Even I didn't know that.
You learned
Tapa
something new, huh?
is a cover.
Oh.
And so on top of that cover, which will probably be a little plate or something like that, they put a little bit of cheese, a couple of olives,
Yeah.
something to munch
Like an
on.
appetizer.
So
And
it all comes
out
together.
Out of all the stories that I've heard about the beginning of tapas, I think
Yeah.
that one,
It's probably the closest
That
to
might
the
have hit the
truth.
nail on the head. huh?
knowing my people, I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that
yeah.
one is it.
Yeah. While you protect from the flies, eat.
Yeah. Never mind that the flies are gonna walk all over your food. But Spaniards, they don't have.
Right.
They might eat the fly, but into the not
But
in
don't
my-
touch the wine.
Not the wine.
Yeah, not the wine.
Not the wine.
We have priorities.
Let's make it clear.
Yeah.
You leave the wine alone.
Okay, so Chef, you're originally from Spain. Can you tell us what part of Spain, whereabouts, and what made you come to how did you end up in Nola?
Well, I'm from originally, I was born and raised until I was 9 in Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
My people from Barcelona are usually Catalans, and I'm a Catalan by birth.
Catalano.
Catalan. Catalunya is the name
Catalunya.
is the name of the region. Catalan is the name of the person.
Aha.
So I'm a Catalan person. My first language was Catalan, then Spanish. But when I was 9, my father moved that factory from the city to a country village in Navarra. At the time, there was a program by Franco, by the dictator. He was having problems with the peasants, the agricultural people, were coming into the city because all of a sudden, during the 70s and 60s, tractors became part of the agricultural.
Oh, yeah.
And what used to take 10 people now took one tractor.
Right.
Well, the things that needed a crew of 25 during 2 weeks, now it was done in 2 days by somebody with a big machine.
Right.
And so a lot of people in the small villages, they had to figure out what am I going to be making my living, and they went into the big cities. But they came into the cities without too much of a set of skills.
Right.
And Franco decided, okay, well, if Mahoma don't come to the mountain will come to Mahoma.
Right.
He brought the jobs to the small villages.
Oh, I see.
So they offered people like my dad that had a small factory the possibility to make it bigger, gave him the land to build, gave him part of the building, gave him tax-free for 10 years, electricity-free for 10 years, things like this.
Just to make it easier to expand.
Just to bring, as long as he gave jobs to the people in the village.
Right.
And that's how we ended up in a little village in Navarra that today I consider my village.
Of course.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I'm also my culture has parts of it that is Catalan, historically, blah, blah, blah. But my formative years, those years in which you become almost an adult, those I was in a little village. And so as I was telling you when I was coming in, my personality is way more robust than it would have been because I grew up in a little village where you had to freaking fight absolutely everybody to get anything done.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Exactly.
And so that's where it's a duality. I'm from Barcelona, but I'm from Navarra as well.
So I know that there's always like a big, almost a rivalry between both. Can you give us a little something, a sentence in Catalan?
In Catalan? Bé, doncs, avui estic aquí per poder enraonar de coses de la meva vida que m'agradaria que la gent conegui.
I literally picked up 1 or 2 words, but there's no way I can make the sentence.
But it's actually Catalan.
It almost sounds Portuguese a little bit.
It's French and Portuguese and Italian. It's
a mixture.
It's the key Latin language. It's like the one that's in the middle.
Yeah.
When you speak Catalan by birth and you start studying French, you progress way faster than if your first language is Spanish. When you learn Italian, it took me 2 months living in Italy, and I was speaking Italian fluently. I didn't have the vocabulary, but the grammar and everything else, like super fast.
Yeah.
Same thing with French. It's not that it's older. I don't know exactly what it is, but it has a lot of words that are not connected to Spanish, which is the closest one to it.
Yeah.
Just by speaking Catalan, I understand maybe 80% of Portuguese.
Got you.
If it's spoken
Slowly.
I get it. At one point, I was dating a lady from Brazil.
I guess that helps, huh?
She was a doctor, and she did a dissertation, and she gave it to me to read in Portuguese.
Oh, wow.
And I read the whole thing, and just a couple of times I had to say, "What is this?" Oh, okay. And that was a incredible paper.
Oh,
that was
yeah,
going to
yeah.
be presented to Tulane University.
Yeah.
And I understood everything in Portuguese. And that's what Catalan does. It's in the middle.
There's enough connection with all of them to where you can pick up.
Right.
I get it.
And you see, in French, you use a double negative, je ne veux pas.
Oui.
In Catalan, we do the same thing. No other language does.
Except Cajuns.
Cajuns use...
I am scared me. Or I am scared no.
Yeah, don't get me started now.
So besides the fact that food nourishes people, what does it represent to you?
To me, food is a social event. More than the nourishment. I don't think that we sit down to nourish.
It's to connect.
Exactly.
It brings people together, right?
I think that when you eat to nourish, it's for a specific need, But when you cook, it's for the connection to people.
That makes so much sense.
And I think that goes across the globe.
Yeah.
I think that only in very maybe cold weather countries that has a lot to do with it. That people might not sit around the table, but as you go down south, as you go to warmer climates, sitting around the table is the fundamental, the quintessential.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Just sharing food, sharing
connecting.
stories, sharing who we are.
And that's the second point. You sit down, you eat, and when you finish eating, but at least in Spain and in France and in Italy, you do we call la sobremesa, on top of the table, which means that you stay longer. You have a coffee, you have a brandy,
I know.
and then the stories start flowing.
Oh, yeah.
And Grandpa tells you about that, and then Grandpa, you told us that last week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that is my favorite. I love that.
It's another 3 hours of sitting at the table, and then the candy comes up.
Oh, yeah. That's all the best memories, though, right?
But that's exactly.
Yeah.
And that I think that today it's not as prevalent as it was, but when I was growing up,
Yeah.
that was the real time that you spend with your dad
With your
and your mom.
with your family, yeah.
That's true. That's true.
The rest of the days, everything was school, this, that.
Yeah, right.
You sat down. We all sat down at the table together
Same.
for dinner. But on Sunday, when you had time for the sobremesa, man, it was 3 hours later. We're still sitting all there, and obviously at the time, TV was not prevalent at all.
Yeah, true. Well, Chef, let me ask you, what would be your signature dish? And as a food lover, what other cuisines do you personally enjoy eating?
You better say French.
Not really. Not really. French is a phenomenally cultivated cuisine, but it's too heavy for me.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's a personal challenge. The Spanish side in me goes, oh yeah?
Really?
You'll see.
Yeah.
Challenge is on.
It's French cuisine is an incredibly involved cuisine. The results are flavors to die for, but then you pay 2 hours later. You're trying to get up and you can't. It's
Well, do you know what? That tells me you didn't have enough vino.
Yeah.
maybe that's
You know.
maybe that's it. Cuisines that I enjoy. I spent a full year in Italy, and
Oh my
I
God.
learned how to cook Italian as well as I
so
cook
jealous.
Spanish. But I've always said I have a theory that Italians are magicians of the cuisine of the kitchen. And what I mean by that is that nowadays, when you go to a good restaurant and they say this is the dish, it's got 15 ingredients. This and that and that and that and then it's like unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then when you get the plate, it's one little thing in the middle
With
of
a
the
dot.
plate. And
You don't have trouble getting up after that one.
right. You look at that thing in the middle. It's a huge plate and that
15.
little, and you go like, what the?
Where are the ingredients?
Italians are just the opposite. Italians in Italy, they will get 3 ingredients and olive oil and make you a pasta that you will never forget.
Yeah.
And that is magic.
Ah, yes.
When you eat real Italian food created with incredibly fresh ingredients and nothing convoluted to it. It's just simplistic food with flavors that you can never forget. So I'm absolutely in love. I think the cuisine of Spain is phenomenal, and I think also Spain, which is the same thing in Italy and in France, each region has its own cuisine.
Right.
There's overlapping stuff, but you move around Spain and it's totally different. They created cuisines with what they have, plus what they borrow from the next region, right? So it's that overlapping. France is the same thing. Nothing to do something from up north to something from La Côte d'Azur. Completely different food.
Right.
The one thing I can think of right now is being a little girl, being in the mountains in Spain, and we having a picnic, and we have cheese and jamón, and that is it.
And you don't need more than that.
¿Quieres un bocadillo? Sí.
Yeah.
Always hungry. And oh my God, just those hard cheeses.
It's unbelievable.
Cheap cheese. Oof. I didn't say cheap, by the way. Cheap. Just saying.
I'll work on that.
That cheese. Oh my God.
Again, that's also probably a quintessential
And chorizo.
thing in Spain. The cold cuts,
Lomo.
charcuterie.
Oh my God.
In Spain is it's so prevalent. I remember I took a trip throughout the south of Spain with my girlfriend at the time, and we put my Harley on a ship and shipped it to Spain, and then we did 3 months.
That's the way to go.
3 months on the road
Oh my
throughout
God.
the south. We came from Barcelona with a motorcycle. We crossed the country, but then we did the south, and we did the south without with any pre-planned.
No itinerary.
Yes, the first week she could not believe that we didn't have a reservation.
She was freaking out.
Where we're gonna live? Where we're gonna sleep tonight? What are you? I'm like, honey, I'm the king here.
If this is not a Spaniard in all his splendor,
You don't worry about a thing. And so
I got you, babe.
we would go always to small villages, never to big cities, right? Small villages, and go to the bar.
Because that's where you eat the
And
best.
that's where I grew up. You go to the bar, you talk to the bartender, say, hey, man, I'm traveling with my girlfriend on a bike and blah, blah. Where can I go to sleep here? And they would say, hold on one second. Antonio, does your mom still have that? Yeah, your mom, yeah. Okay, well, you need to talk to Antonio. And we would end up on Antonio's house. They gave us a room, and then the best breakfast you can ever imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about connection right
You know,
there.
and the first 3 days she couldn't believe it. Then she started going like, okay. And then by a week into it, she didn't worry about we're going to sleep someplace.
We'll
and
find
it's going to be
somewhere.
fun, right?
Yeah,
And
that
so-
is awesome.
And so that was 1997, and it was an amazing experience.
That sounds fantastic. Okay, so I just have to ask, do you have any friends in Italy that we can stay with?
Actually, I don't. I've lost every contact I
Oh, merde.
I went to I went to Italy for different reasons. I didn't go there to spend my time. My sister was there, and I went there to help her. After I graduated from Loyola, I took a full year, and I went there and I helped her for a while, and then I came back.
That's nice.
One of the things I wanted to ask you, you kind of talked on a little bit when you talked about the motorcycle. I had heard that you were a motorcycle lover and that you had your own. And I just kind of basically wanted to get your thoughts on it because I ride also. I have a bike myself. And what's the one thing that you could say you love most about riding?
Honestly, I think when I was a kid, I thought that I was born in the wrong century and in the wrong country. I was born in 1959 Spain, and I should have been born in 1859 Texas.
Oh my!
Right? So this young man
I
here
love it.
has a cowboy
Persona.
trauma and persona in there.
That
And
is
so
funny.
I think that riding motorcycles is a way. That's my horse.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Basically, and it's been since I was a kid. I
Yeah.
bought my first motorcycle when I was 12,
Yeah.
13. I worked through the whole year like crazy on everything that I could work on. We picked up potatoes. We picked up everything that you could pick up on the. We did asparagus, which is hard, like you wouldn't believe, because asparagus are on the ground. You have to be on your knees, cutting them, and I worked every 2 months on a chicken farm, getting up chicken. They bring them little bitty thingies, and then 6 weeks later, they are full-grown chicken, and now you have to put them in a truck. And let me tell you,
That's some work, huh?
it's a lot. Is easier said than done.
Catching the
right?
chicken is hard work, huh?
You try to get a chicken one
There's
time
no
running.
way.
There's no way.
Yeah.
So they would pay children a man's salary to do that, and you would do it at night with all the windows. There's no light, all the windows covered,
Right.
and you will be on your knees and grabbing the chicken legs, and you will
Oh my
you will
God.
grab 4 chickens with one hand and 4 chickens with the other hand. And when you're sure that you got 8 chickens, you would turn them around and walk out the thing and put them on a.
Those poor little chickens.
I have the best visual in my head right
I
now.
know.
Let me tell you, we had to wear 3, sometimes 4
Layers of clothes.
of clothes.
Yeah.
Oh,
From
Oh
the
man,
scratches,
those chickens
So,
didn't
Chef-
like to be upside down. Let me tell you,
Chef, we have a few chickens by the neighbors. Maybe you can
I'm
show
a professional.
us. I know. Maybe he can show us.
And
So that's what happens
so
when
that's-
the cross between a Texan and a Spanish is
Comes-
you,
comes- yeah.
basically. That's the ultimate macho man, right? I'm thinking.
I think that in Navarra you grow up like this. In Navarra, there's a definite sense that you have to be, your virility has to be there. As soon as you are 13, 14, and you're tall enough, you start running with the bulls. And if you don't do that, forget about the girls.
Tell us about that.
Okay, yeah, we got to take a left turn here. We're going to need to hear
Yeah.
about running with the bulls.
Have you ever
Yeah.
heard of that?
Oh, yes, I've definitely heard of it.
Okay,
Have I
well-
done it? No.
Now we.
Yeah, but that
This may break us.
If you grew up on a place like Carcastillo, my village
Yeah.
in Navarra, well, you wanna, when you're 12, you wanna get out, and the older guys say, "Hey, where you going?" And they stop you, As soon as they see you big enough, like, okay, be careful, and you
Don't die.
and you just run, and you learn, and it's dangerous. Undoubtedly, it's dangerous, but it's part of you. Look, people. There's some African people who when they are 16, go out and kill a lion to show up that they are men. We're wrong with bulls.
Right.
And
Somehow,
I think that
I'd rather run with bulls, though, than try to go after a lion. I don't know.
I can run with the bulls, but I don't know what I will feel like in front of a lion with a spear and going like, oh my God.
Try to catch his paws.
It's like, holy exactly. Like, hold on, I'm going to do you the chicken thing. Holy moly.
You run with the bulls. I'll get the chickens in the truck.
It's like, I don't know about that. But you're right. By the way, the word macho in the United States has a very dark connotation, right? It's a wife beater. It's a bad thing. It's been sold to us as a bad thing. But macho in Spain, where it comes from, by the way, means something completely different.
Enlighten us.
A macho is, and you see that in the animal world, a macho is a male alpha that would confront something or somebody way bigger than him and would not back out or back down.
Right.
Such as a bull.
Such as a bull or as anything.
Yeah.
And that's what a macho is.
So, Babu,
when
if
they
you
say,
want us to stay together, you need to do something.
Yeah. I'll get you some chickens in the truck.
No bulls.
But anyway, it's a different.
Yeah, the meaning is totally different.
The meaning is completely different. A macho, and you see it. I remember watching a program long time ago on animals, and there's a moment. There's a group of monkeys, mandrills. I don't know how it's said in English. Mandrill in Spanish. Those that have the red face.
Yes.
With really big teeth.
Yes.
The mean and vicious ones.
Mouth
the
that
evil
looks like
looking.
almost like a dog.
They're pretty vicious, I think.
They are really powerful too.
Yeah.
As animals go. Okay. Well, in this occasion, a group of mandrills are in an open place when lions come in.
Oof.
And the narrator explains that the alpha male stays back to give time to the rest of the tribe to go up the tree, and he obviously gets killed.
Oh.
And
He's the protector.
And he says, okay, but today is the day that I show. Why am I the alpha of this group?
Right.
And that's basically what a macho is.
So basically, you just give an image to the saying, with great power comes great responsibility.
And it's not happening every day, but when it happens, you have to
you have to show up. Yeah.
You have to stand up to the plate. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, since we're talking about all the running with the bulls and battling lions and things, I'm going to move on to this question because I got to hear it now. What's the craziest thing that you've personally ever done?
I mean...
I cannot tell you.
But you must.
Okay, what's the second craziest thing?
I want to. Okay, we need to know at least off air if you can.
We'll talk about it later.
Crazy, not crazy, but youthful.
Yeah.
Youthful things.
Sure.
I used to have a group. When I bought my first motorcycle, my first big motorcycle. My first motorcycle, I was 12. It was a Derby 50 cc's.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Right.
Bike. But my first big motorcycle was a La Verda 750 SF from Italy, 1974, and I bought it in 1978. I was 19 years old at the time when I bought it. And I was hanging out with a group, and we would go on weekends to different places with the bikes and have lunch or something. The same thing we do here in the United States. You get together with a few guys and you ride your motorcycle. And we did also something that we did together. We call it, I have no idea. why it's called like that, but we call it Cineforum. And what that meant is all of us would go to see the same movie. And then we would get together in a bar that's at the beginning of Las Ramblas in Barcelona. It's called Zurich. And had a beautiful terrace where we put several tables together and we got it. And we had all coffees. I don't know why, but we had coffee with brandy, a carajillo. All of us. And we were all 18, 19, 20-year-olds, boys and girls.
Yeah.
And we would discuss the movie. We would,
just share opinions and stuff.
We realized that the 10 of us saw completely different movies. That's when I understood that a movie affects you based on who you are and not what the director intended. If in the movie there's a little dog that dies and you lost your dog, then it affects you.
Oh, sure, definitely.
And when I ask you what's the most important, which that's how we started the conversation, what's the most important scene on that movie? You say, oh yeah, when the truck gets the dog, and then she's like, the dog? Are you kidding me? And so each one of
Sounds
us
about right.
each one of us saw a different movie. It's like that's why some people tell you, oh, it's a horrible movie, and you go and you see the movie and you think, man, I loved it.
Right, sure.
To him it was a bad movie because it affected him in a way that had to do with his childhood and all that. But anyway, we would sit down, do this. And then we would, at the end of that, we would get the motorcycles and go have the last coffee someplace, some other place. And we would run the streets of Barcelona and sometimes go on the outskirts. And then one day, one of the girls, she was the troublemaker, really. She said, man, we have the motorcycles. Why are we going to have coffee here? Why don't we go have coffee in Zaragoza? And we And we're like, that's 300 kilometers.
For those who don't know, it's far.
For a coffee, it's like, you're sitting and somebody says, hey, let's go to Houston for coffee.
I know.
Okay, we could, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she insulted us.
Oh.
And she's like, hey, you bunch of sissies, I can't believe it. And, the macho came like, I can go. What do you mean? What do you mean, sissy? I'm game. Let's go. And we got on the motorcycles and we just ran 300 kilometers.
Oh, my God.
To Zaragoza to have coffee nonstop. We just stopped to get gas and pew.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, the interstate was open. There was you didn't have to pay. And there was almost no police, and they didn't bother you. So we're coming down the interstate.
You just hauled ass.
180 kilometers an hour, almost 200 kilometers an hour. Pew! So hour and a half, 2 hours later, we're in Zaragoza. We're sitting and we had the coffee. We thought that was cool.
Now
so we got on the bike and went back.
Oh my God!
So. The next weekend is like, okay, where are we going to have coffee? And now it's like, okay,
now the standards are here.
Exactly. Excuse me, we have right now. This is not the same.
Yeah.
So we started going to have coffee to other places. All of them like 200, 100 miles.
Oh my God.
300.
Wow.
It was like and we did a whole bunch of them, maybe a full year worth of this. And one day. The same girl comes up and says, we've done everything here. Why don't we go to Paris to have coffee?
Oh, my God.
Oh, my.
And I remember I said, I don't think I have a passport. I already envisioned doing it, but
you were being practical.
But
yeah.
I'm like, so like a couple of months later, we organized it, and on a Friday night, we hit the road, and we went all the way to Paris. That's about 1,000 kilometers, nonstop. We stopped for gas and
Of course.
and we kept. That's what you do when you're freaking 19.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed.
That is pretty crazy.
We got to Paris. We end up on the Champs-Élysées. There was a bar at the time that was called Columbia.
Uh-huh.
And it had tables on the outside, beautiful marble tables, the old-fashioned way. And so we ordered the coffee, right?
Yeah.
And then we fell asleep.
I was gonna say she literally brought the bar hopping to a whole new level.
Let me tell you.
Because first
And-
you go to
and
different
so
region,
the-
then you go to different country.
Right. And the gendarmerie came in.
Oh man,
And
that's not good.
they woke us up and said, "What you doing here?" And we explained it to them, and they went like, "What?" yeah. We came. This is the motorcycles we came to.
So the big question is, was she worth it?
Well, she was not my girlfriend. I don't know. But the trip was,
The
because
trip was cool.
you're asking me what crazy things you've done. Well, that's one
Yeah.
that I can talk
definitely.
about.
That you can talk.
One
Right.
The
to
rest
one.
will be off air. Okay, so I have a question. So as we grow older, we all want to return to roots, right? We kind of had a conversation over the phone.
Totally.
Any projects to go back to Spain?
Yes. I think I'm gonna be 65 in this coming year in January, and I don't know that I want to retire right there, but it's gonna be somewhat very soon. And my brother and I have bought a house. The house where we grew up in wasn't ours, but it was the old style houses with a foot and a half deep walls out of stone. Love that house, and we are rebuilding it now. It's a
how
house
nice.
from the 1800s, and we're
That's
making
fantastic.
it into a modern place. And we are going to use that house as we call it pipote or peña. It's a clubhouse. It's a house where you get together with your friends and you cook, and that's basically what we're doing. And then we're building a family house for us, for our children, for our grandchildren.
And our friends in the United States.
And all my friends is like,
Forget about them. Forget about them.
It's like, everybody's like, I'll come visit. And so
We may come on a motorcycle having just for coffee.
there you go. Come,
Hola.
exactly. Come. I got the coffee pot ready.
That will be the code word.
Coffee, huh?
I'm coming for coffee, and you'll think like, yeah, she's kidding. No, I'm right here.
I'm really excited about it because I wanna the house, the old house. I wanna build it. When I was growing up in that village, there was two bakers, and they started like in France, like in everywhere else, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then
Right.
by 8 o'clock or at 9. The bread was done. They would put it on a bicycle that had a big basket in the front, huge basket, and he would deliver the bread house by house. So he would get to your house and whistle, and you would come out and you would say 3, and he would get 3 baguettes and give him.
Open the door.
The children would always go down to pick them up, so we could eat the hot bread. It was still hot.
Oh, yeah.
And your mom was telling you cannot eat the hot bread. And you're like,
Yeah, it's going to hurt your stomach, right?
Right.
That is so
I don't know
not
who
true.
said that, but it's hot bread coming out of the oven with still the smell
Oh, my God.
of the
Yes.
of the
Of the
fi-
heat,
oh
yeah.
my God.
yes.
Anyway, so I'm buying one of those ovens.
Oh, my
And
God.
dismantle it piece by piece because it's no longer in use, obviously.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they make the bread in a big factory. It's a crappy bread. Even in Spain, it's a crappy bread. And so I'm looking forward to have a kitchen that is the old
The old way.
cooking, the old way. So I have a phenomenal oven, brick oven, not brick, but stone oven.
I get it.
Yeah.
And everything else that I need to cook for friends and family. And
Chef, We're talking about, I have to ask him. Thank you, God. We have a Spaniard. We are fighting over churros.
Uh-oh.
So,
Oh my God. I know what's
little
coming.
girl, Spain, streets, the street vendors that come,
Churro.
churros, and you,
Yep.
and you buy your churros.
Yeah.
This guy here, he gets churros and
Frozen.
either that or some, I'm not going to name the cuisine, but some restaurants who sell them with ice cream on top and syrup. Please tell him something.
Oh.
Thank you. Just please
no,
talk to
well-
him straight. Look at him straight in the eyes and tell him why it's wrong.
I don't know about the ice cream and all that. The churros, the origin, I don't know where they come from. I don't know whether this is a French or Italian or, it's
Let's just call them Spanish
certainly not German.
for sure.
But churros, it's one of the most simplistic things that you can do with flour and one of the most complicated to achieve. And it's one of the few recipes that you will need boiling water directly on the flour, and almost every other recipe for bread or anything else, it's all cold. You want lukewarm everything. This you get the flour and you pour boiling water on it.
Really?
And if you don't do it, the churro comes out greasy, and that's what they sell in most places.
That we will not name.
Because that shall be
Nameless.
ignored.
Well, thank you for that update and that lesson on churros. I can't wait
This
to.
is only the beginning.
Hopefully, I get to try yours one day soon. And looking forward.
Churros have to be absolutely crispy
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And soft on the inside.
and soft on the inside,
And
that's what makes a churro.
Yeah.
And they would cut them, and they go into the frying pan with huge amount of oil, so the oil never loses its right temperature. That's why it's that big. You fry them in a small pan. You put 10 churros, and the oil was at 280 degrees, and now it's 160, and the oil penetrates the churro all the way in. And then when you eat it, it's a yucky thing.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
So it has to have its own right. The technique has to be right for churros.
Yes, definitely. Looking forward to it. Well, that takes us to our favorite part of the show. And I think we'll kick it off with a drum roll. Tell us a story.
Oops. A story that I can tell.
Spotlight's on you, Chef.
I was just about to say, please go ahead.
Yes.
Feel free.
When you told me about telling a story, I thought I have so many stories. I've done so many things that are interesting, and I've lived my life. I've never been able to project, to think ahead of time. I've always lived my life. Every turn happened because for something. When I meet people that are 7 years old and they tell you, I want to be a musician, I go like, how do you know? I'm 64 and I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. For
You
real,
grow up,
Yeah.
all my life.
Yeah.
You were asking me before about cooking, right?
Yeah.
I got into the cooking professionally because of a very serious accident. My friend Angel had an accident. He owned a restaurant called Lola's. I had helped him build it.
Lola's in New Orleans?
In New Orleans, yes.
Yeah.
That's the one we went to.
Oh, okay.
Before Lola's, he had another restaurant that was called Altamira that I helped him build as well.
Oh, okay.
And Altamira was not successful at all for 5 years. It was a really bad. It just didn't work out. Then he wanted to open Lola's, and I said to him, "Hey, I'll help you, but you better learn how to cook yourself." Hiring chefs that don't understand our cooking it's not helping. And they come in and they stay 3 months and they leave. And then the food that they created that people like, now it's different and it's constantly different. There's no continuity to
no consistency.
There's no consistency. So if you want me to help you this time around, you better get in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And at the end, he understood and he got in the kitchen. He used to smoke like crazy. So I became I used to smoke, but I had quit at the time. And my palate was back in full force.
Oh.
And so I became...
Yeah, you make a good point.
I became his palate. He would cook things and I would show him a lot of my own recipes. And he would develop them, and I would tell him too much cayenne, too much this, too much that. It needs more of this, and so together we developed this. And he learned how to cook, and he developed a beautiful, beautiful cuisine. When Lola's first opened on April 1994, it was phenomenal. So that's a few months later, on December 14th. 1994, he had a huge accident. He was stopped at a red light. His light turned green. He started, and somebody who was trying to jump the red light broadside him so bad that he spent 21 days unconscious.
Oh wow!
Eyes open but unconscious completely, not registering anything, in the hospital with broken a whole bunch of things. And his family came to New Orleans, 2 of his sisters, and they wanted to sell the restaurant because all they knew about a restaurant is that his brother had a restaurant for 5 years, and the only thing he did was consume their heritage, the money that they were going to inherit, basically. The father was sending him money to help him go along, and they said that's a money pit, right? So they wanted to sell the restaurant. I had to really fight them to keep it open and explain to them this is not the same as the other one. This is successful. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
This is successful, and this restaurant will make him rich one day. But we need to keep it open while he's in the hospital. And it looks like it's going to be a long time.
Yeah.
Finally, I won that battle. And that's how I became a chef.
That's crazy.
I went and I talked to the staff. I told them today we close. Angel is in the hospital. This is what's going on. But tomorrow we open. And one of the ladies that used to work there, which has become... one of the most prominent photographers in the city, asked me, who's going to cook? And I said, I'm going to cook. And she looked at me like, really? Like, yep.
Sure. I got this.
Her name is Cheryl Gerber. If she ever hears this, I remember that conversation like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And Cheryl looked at me and said, you're going to cook? Okay. and the next day we opened, and everybody that came into the restaurant, we explained what the situation is. I told them, you need to tell them that the food is not going to be the same.
Oh, gotcha.
It might be burned, might be, I have to learn how to do this thing.
Yeah.
And so if they don't want to stay, they can leave. Nobody left, not a single one.
Oh, that's great.
In fact, one of the ladies that came in, when he heard, he left and came back with a big glass jar and started putting money on it.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's great.
That's a beautiful story.
And,
It is.
and that's basically how I became a chef. That day, the tickets, I told them, you need to give me the tickets slower than you give it to him. I'm going to, so
you can learn and process.
My mind was so hyper-focused on not screwing up
Yeah, sure.
the food, right? Even though I was like that, I burned a couple of paellas, and it was like things happen. But I was so hyper-focused on it that I disconnected completely from the public. It's an open kitchen.
Oh.
Lola's has an open kitchen.
That's true.
So you're working.
I forgot about that.
So it's a show, too.
At the time,
Yeah.
today it has a little bar that's extended, but at the time, people were right there
Yeah.
watching you, like from here where you are.
Yeah.
But I was just cooking and cooking and cooking, and I didn't have a helper. It was just me.
Yeah.
I had somebody who did the salads and cold things, but I was doing all the hot things, and I did them. And at the last minute, at the end of the night, I felt like funny because the restaurant was not getting empty.
Oh.
People were overstaying.
Yeah.
But I didn't
Leave.
I didn't realize what was going on. So at the end of the night, when I took out of the oven the last paella and I put it down on the counter, everybody,
Aw. You're going to make me cry.
everybody got up.
It's a great moment.
It's
Oh, that's awesome.
it's a memory.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
That
with us.
is a beautiful
Oh,
story.
man. Yeah. That is
Well,
beautiful.
first of all, you're an amazing friend.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I mean, needless to say, you know how to work under pressure because that's pretty
Oh, yeah.
crazy.
That's great.
It was absolutely crazy.
Just bravo.
And
So you're the real macho. You step
Oh,
up
yes.
to the plate.
Definitely. You brought the alpha to Nola.
basically,
And he looks the part
Yeah.
too. Too bad this is not a video
Oh, yeah.
podcast.
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
Well, thank you so much. This is unbelievable.
It was great. Thank you so much for coming in.
you are very welcome. Thank you. Sorry, I got emotional, but
No.
Oh, no, we love that.
We want that.
Yeah.
it's a beautiful moment in my life, and it actually took me.
I mean, look where you are now, you know?
I cooked there for 3 months until Angel
Could come back.
could come back, and then I had to train him because he had hit his head and he couldn't remember
Yeah.
much. And so I retrained him, and then one day he came over and said, "I can do this by myself." And I thought, okay.
That's a true labor of love right
I,
there.
Yeah.
I pulled back, and that night was a nightmare, but
It was the first
but
time
the rest
back,
is
yeah.
history. He
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
recovered the reins of his restaurant, and he
That's
he
Crazy. That's
made
awesome.
it into an incredibly how do you call it, a famous restaurant in New Orleans and popular.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
looking for the word popular. And so he accomplished what he wanted, even though he got really a bad hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's, wow. Gives me the chills.
Yeah.
Well, remember, those who don't believe in magic will never find it. We all have stories to tell. What's yours? Bye now.
Hang on now, Frenchie.
Oh, God.
Now, in the past, I've asked you to give some different languages in goodbye, but we're going to change it up. I want something real today. I want something monumental. But with all this culture at the table, I want it in French. I want you to give it to me in French. All right, hang on. I'll set you up. Here we go. All right, sing us a little something in French.
I don't want to.
Come on, do it. Do it. Chef's here. The pressure's on.
Oh, my God.
Come on, go for it, Frenchie.
Are we doing the duck song?
Yeah, do it. I don't care what you do. Just do it.
C'est la danse des canards qui, en sortant de la mare, se remuent le popotin et font coin-coin. That's it.
That's it. Hey,
That
that
is
was
it.
amazing. The chicken song, though, come on. I got one of those for you too.
We call it the duck song.
The duck song. Well, we're gonna take Chef
I
out
cannot believe you
in
made it on the
style.
spot. Thank you, Chef, for coming.
Oh yes,
You're
that
very
was great.
welcome. Thank you.
Yes, awesome. Thanks everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show, and I know you're leaving hungry. Let's check out Chef at Barcelona Tapas. We can't wait to go back.
Thank you so much.